Our guest today raised some very important questions about private school voucher programs. One key question, of course, is simply about diverting resources away from public schools, which educate almost 90% of our students in North Carolina. The General Assembly plans to spend nearly $1 billion over the next 10 years on private school vouchers. Even with some recent gains, our public school per pupil spending and teacher pay still is in the bottom 10 nationally. Then there's accountability and transparency. Private schools fiercely guard and protect their independence. But when these schools take public funding but still operate like a private entity, transparency and accountability is difficult. And that's if you're really trying. A recent study by researchers at Duke University found that North Carolina's Opportunity Scholarship Program has the least accountability of any private school voucher program in the country. The report pointed out that our voucher program lacks requirements for state accreditation, lacks guidance on curriculum, does not require the teachers be certified, exempts these schools from all the state's testing requirements, and sets zero guidelines on school calendars or hours, while at the same time dictating precisely when our public schools must start and end each year. On top of all that, the latest research on programs in Indiana, Louisiana, and Ohio that our guest mentioned actually show negative academic results for students who leave public schools for voucher-funded private schools. Even with these very real questions that ought to be answered before we continue to expand our voucher program nationally and here in North Carolina, one story I think gets lost in the debate, and that's the importance a system of public schools plays in our society. There's a reason founding fathers like Thomas Jefferson focused on the importance of a free and public education. It's why it's in our own state's constitution. It wasn't just about the delivery of academic knowledge and learning. It was also about building an educated community, a state and a nation with shared values and goals. Public schools today are one of the few public institutions where we can all come together and don't separate ourselves out into our religious, cultural, ethnic, and socioeconomic silos. I think it's one of the undersold benefits of an excellent public school system. I've lived in other states and experienced where privatization was a much bigger point of emphasis. We are extremely fortunate to have the kinds of public schools we have in North Carolina for our children, and they are worth defending. That's it for this week's Education Matters. Next week, we're going to take a closer look at key policy issues in education. So make sure you stay tuned, and we'll see you next week.